Aloha, friends and family. Welcome back to the reading of our Cosmic Origin. Chapter 2, The Theory of Multiple Civilizations as Proposed by Our New Science. One of the biggest kept secrets and perhaps a most important subject perplexing our world at this time is the idea that there exist millions of advanced space-age worlds beyond our own, which have been established as advanced interplanetary, stellar, and galactic cultures. For many are witnessing first-hand experiences of these visitors from other worlds of existence. Today, more so than ever, unexplainable crop circles have appeared, and mysterious UFO sightings all over the earth are challenging people's limited belief systems. What is happening in our world is a refusal of a lost reality that we were once a part of. Perhaps they are reminding us that we are not alone in the universe and that we are part of a greater family, reality, of light that extends to the many multiple realms and levels of the cosmos which our modern science is now tapping into. Based on the new controversial and suppressed evidence, the new calculations are now surprisingly proposing the existence of multiple types of space-age civilizations. Therefore, it is important to understand that all space-age civilizations fall under the three categories of Population 1 interplanetary system, Population 2 stellar system, and Population 3 galactic systems. According to the new evidence, these population advanced space-age systems in our galaxy are by far more advanced than we are, since we don't even rate them. The first one, a Population 1 interplanetary system civilization, is a planetary civilization that has learned to harness the power of the core of the planet, giving way to free energy technologies, making them no longer dependent on fossil fuels, oil, or the process of combustion. It is believed that Type 1 interplanetary systems are the most common types in the cosmos, and according to the new evidence, there are millions of these civilizations in our universe. A Population 1 star system civilization defines the beginning stage of space travel, because when one harnesses the energy of the core of their planet, they may develop what is known as propulsion drive technologies that would enable them to soar out into space in order to begin the colonizing of other planets in close proximity and neighboring solar systems as well. We may compare this level of civilization to the movie Buck Rogers. The second type of civilization calculated by our new science is known as Population 2 stellar systems, and these types of civilizations not only manage to tap the power of the core of their planet, but apparently also manage to tap the power of their sun. We may compare this type of civilization to the level of existence of Star Trek and the Federation of Planets. These types of civilizations have had thousands of years of space exploration and stellar travel and are able to interact with the entire galaxy. As mentioned earlier, with this new understanding of reality, science fiction is slowly becoming a science fact. According to our new science, there are approximately hundreds of thousands of population with two stellar systems in our universe. It is understood that these civilizations have mastered the theory of everything capable of space travel, greater than the speed of light. It is also believed that a stellar system is always on the lookout for pre-planetary worlds that are showing a high level of spiritual maturity, culture, and technology capability, indicating their readiness to enter the space community. Finally, the third type and most evolved of the three civilizations proposed by our cutting edge discoveries is known as a population of three galactic systems. These civilizations not only harness the power of their surrounding suns, but the full power of billions of suns. That is, they harness the energy of what is known as the core central sun at the center of their galaxy. It has been calculated that there are thousands of these types of civilizations in our universe, and we may compare them to the movie Star Wars. A civilization like this, who learns to tap the power of their galaxy's core, can control the fate of an entire galaxy. It appears that population 3 galactic systems are the most advanced intergalactic, capable of interacting with other galaxies, civilizations in our own universe, and perhaps other universes. It is believed that a civilization of this type can transfer its entire civilization over to another younger universe in the event of their universe growing old and decaying. The reason believed is again based on the new physics. For example, in breaking down the difference between this interstellar advanced system, it is understood that a population 1 star system civilization is in its infant stage in understanding the theory of everything as we are now in this day, and categorizes its developing civilizations as a first stage beginning space level, which marks the beginning of the use of interdimensional technology. After a few thousand years of mastering the theory of everything, a population 1 interplanetary system civilization then graduates into an intermediate space age stellar population 2 system civilization. At this level, they have fully mastered interdimensional travel and may zoom across the galaxy in a split second, since we now know that it is possible to travel faster than the speed of light through hyperspace. It is believed that a population 2 stellar system takes hundreds of thousands of years to advance into the level of advanced space age type 3 status, at which point they have mastered the theory of everything, that even the future coming death of its universe may not affect it. Galactic civilizations of this status are immortal because they can access the main stargates and wormholes that lead into other parallel new universes in a younger stage, capable of supporting life forms and intelligence for billions of more years. Only population 3 galactic system civilizations are at the highest level of spiritual evolution. This also proposes the idea that most, if not all, space-age galactic societies are indeed highly spiritually evolved. Then the next question would be, why haven't we contacted them? First, our Earth scientist is only scanning about a few hundred light years away, while the next interplanetary civilization is 1,000 light years away according to the math. In addition, our scientists are also only detecting radiation from hydrogen based only on Newtonian principles. They are forgetting to use quantum mechanics, which would now compel them to look interdimensionally into hyperspace. While those spiritually oriented physicists dare to explore it, other more reserved scientists fear the possible fact of multiple realities and multiple civilizations, as they would say, the impossible. In fact, according to our new science, our current civilization rates zero in comparison to the three types of calculated advanced space age cultures. This has to do with our dependency on fossil fuel, coal, nuclear, and plants for energy. However, it is also understood by our new science that the signs for our inevitable transition into a population one interplanetary system are now evident. This tells us that all civilizations on Earth have been part of a long evolutionary process, and that our current phase of civilization is therefore now during the greatest transition ever. According to some scientific observations, one of the biggest indicators and signs that we have is the internet, that is, the communication device used by worlds that are of a population of one space age interplanetary culture. Other signs are the fact that we are once again a global international culture. Also, it is important to understand that this transit of our world into a space age culture is a process that is unfolding throughout the entire universe, with many other civilizations, as some advanced to stellar statuses and others to galactic. Since there are millions of solar systems with perhaps trillions of worlds, then our Earth is one of many civilizations that is undergoing the same process, not to mention that most, if not all, civilizations in our cosmos are populated by other beings that appear to be humanoid in appearance, but are of a different nature than ourselves. It appears that we humans on Earth share a common ancestry throughout our universe, since all were made in the image of our one Creator. This validates and supports the theory of convergent evolutions, which tells us that we are not the only human-like creatures in existence. Therefore, most of the aliens out there are people that look like you and me. Some are more evolved than others. The higher the level of civilization, the more angelic in nature this human-like intelligence exists. After all, our science has now discovered that there are millions upon millions of worlds just like our Earth, and every day they come across more and more. Based on the new understanding, it appears that other realities are not out there, but intersecting with our own third dimensions of length, height, and width in a quantum phenomenon known as superposition. This, therefore, implies that those advanced stellar, galactic, and intergalactic civilizations operating on a higher level of existence, higher than the third, are interacting with our reality without our knowledge, like different radio and television frequencies intersect each other at the same time in the same space. It is believed that these advanced civilizations used all levels of reality to communicate and broadcast their signals that intersect our dimension without our knowing. It is also believed that the higher angelic humanoid intelligence is in a sense always watching over and observing us. They appear to be watching over our civilization, almost as if they are waiting for us to evolve spiritually enough so that we may also share the rest of the infinite cosmos with them in harmony. Considering the new evidence, it appears that we are part of a greater divine plan, and that life here on the earth plane, or in the lowest dimension, is not the only life in existence. Also, it is ignorance of the higher spiritual knowledge that makes one assume that dark matter is empty space, without realizing that this higher intelligence are operating and existing on higher levels of reality than currently are imperceptible. This explains why we are only experiencing less than 10% of our full potential reality. Perhaps the reason that we are currently shut off from 99.4 Perhaps the reason that we are currently shut off from 99.4 of our full reality, capacity, and higher angelic bits of intelligence is the same reason that we are not in the use of 94% of our full genetic potential. What a beautiful correlation. The facts are obvious that intelligent life exists throughout the cosmos without our knowledge of them. Until now, because for thousands of years we have been in a population type 0 status. However, due to the dispensation, we are finally ready for acceptance into this greater reality. Today, however, our civilization is not only about to transition not into a population 1 interplanetary system civilization overnight, but directly advanced into a population 2 system in a matter of years, and we need to be ready. The signs that we are becoming galactic, heaven on earth, are here. In scientific terms, we are on the verge of achieving a utopia here on earth. Indeed, our science is now confirming all the ancient religious prophecies regarding the coming of the kingdom of God, or light, the seventh golden age. However, as it's always the case right before we transition into heaven on earth, there are still those factors that are preventing us from achieving such a positive transition. These factors are corruption, religious intolerance, fanaticism, apathy, wars, and global conflict. Therefore, we as humanity representing our planet Earth need to make a collective decision to no longer tolerate wars, religious fanaticism, prejudice, hatred, corruption, and anything that keeps us in a population with a 0 status. We need to make a collective decision to uphold and adopt a brotherhood and a brother-like love attitude in the pursuit of universal rights, global democracy, world peace, and tolerance, by the realization that we are all children of the one God. We are on the verge of a planetary transformation as we reach the level of planetary brotherhood and partnership. It is the awakening of the masses into this knowledge which leads to the understanding and implementation of higher spiritual cosmic principles. The fact that scientists are now beginning to see the correlation of the scientific to the spiritual is telling us that we are true in the midst of the biggest quantum leap ever. I think it was supposed to be truly uniting all fields of study under a theory of everything. For even in the fields of biology, and the genetic code has been deciphered, and it has been confirmed that the supposed junk DNA is untapped potential, perhaps since we are using less than 10% of our entire genetic material, why we only perceive less than 10% of our total potential reality, or dark matter. The math adds up, and that also explains why we cannot detect all those advanced civilizations that exist in the so-called missing reality. as proposed by the new physics and backed by the ancient wisdom of the secret esoteric traditions. In these next chapters, we would come to know that everything that our new science is suggesting is correct. We have come a long way to reach this point of biological evolution. As we begin the spiritual aspect of our higher evolution, to learn higher ideas and concepts that have been restored once again in these greatest times ever, for nothing is new under the sun. Chapter 3, The Celestial Connection. Explained from an esoteric perspective, the truth is that humanity is the final manifestation with the angelic celestial kingdom in a process known as the descent of spirit into matter. We have been involved in a long cosmic descent, and as beings of light, we had our origin in the always existing spheres of the spiritual realms. Our human origin is, therefore, connected to the angelic realms in the sense that all human-like beings in our cosmos share a common ancestry known as the Adam Caedmon, Caedmon. And even though there are other human-like beings throughout existence that share the Adam Caedmon body, humanoids, none of them compare to the kind we know here on Earth. The mankind of Earth is by far the greatest masterpiece that our Creator has made, because we are completed beings as made in the image of our Creator, and there is a reason for that. The mere fact that mankind on Earth is connected to a long cosmic ancestry of celestial descent, proposing the theory of a convergence of evolutions. This truth is perhaps one of the most important secrets which has been kept from us for thousands of years. This explains why for centuries, or perhaps millenniums, the powers of this world, the brotherhood of Satan, had us believe that the earth was flat and that we were the only planet suitable for intelligent life. Apparently, the earth's temporary powers, fallen angels, did not want us to know that we were not alone, perhaps because this would threaten their agenda of world domination. In fact, considering emerging evidence, we can state that not embracing the truth that life is existent in the entire universe is likening to believing that the earth is still flat. For how can a creator who endows his life force essence throughout all of creation only allow this life force essence to only take root in one infinitesimal portion, considering the vastness of cosmos? This wouldn't make any sense as we approach the end days of the millennial dark ages. Today, in the wonderful age of information, it has been discovered that every star in our Milky Way galaxy is a burning living sun or a planet. It has been calculated that there are millions upon millions of suns in our Milky Way galaxy. So imagine, out of all those millions of solar systems, star systems, how many planets are inhabited with intelligent life forms? Furthermore, as mentioned, science has also confirmed that there are multiple galaxies, clusters of galaxies, and multiple universes. This higher understanding will also open us to further knowledge as it expands our awareness and consciousness about many things that we are unaware of. However, before we can begin to digest any of this, we must first rid ourselves of our limited belief systems and begin to really understand the true nature of our existence and the stuff that make it up. Energy. as it ties into the angelic phenomena. For example, the first step in realizing the true nature of our reality is the fact that everything is vibrating. The slower the rate of vibration or frequency, the more dense and solid matter appears. The faster the frequency or rate of vibration, the less dense and subtler, perhaps invincible to our naked eye. It does say invincible. To our naked eye, the matter becomes. So, by raising the vibration rate of the object to a higher octave from the third dimensional range of vibration, it would seem to disappear in the third dimension. This, however, doesn't mean that the object isn't there anymore. It just tuned in to a higher wavelength of existence that is not plugged into our limited range of perception of what we call reality in the third dimension. Remember, as explained earlier, the third dimension is only one wavelength of multiple bands and planes that make up the entire spectrum of unlimited light energy, vibrating at all different rates, being different wavelengths of the same singular light, quantum singularities. As mentioned, we are only tuned in to 1/10 or less of the entire spectrums of our existence, as we have only been using less than 10% of our entire inherent potential. This explains the biblical veil, which is why the supposed 94% of the universe is missing. So, considering this, while the object appears to be invisible and non-existent in the lower third dimensional frequency range of vibration, it's still existing, but at a higher pitch or frequency range within the spectrum of light. On the same note, if we manage to raise the vibrational rate of our energy field to match the frequency range of our invisible object, which is only invisible as empty space in the third dimension, then it would miraculously reappear in our range of perception again as tangible on that frequency reality. The only difference is that this type of solid is more of refined nature and less dense than the solid appearing in the third dimension. So, in review, all the different planes of reality differ by the rate of their vibration. The higher the frequency, the less dense matter becomes as its atomic nucleus vibrates at a higher pitch. The lower the frequency, the denser matter becomes as the vibration rate slows to match the slower rate of vibration, making things more solid. Since all is energy, then like Einstein rediscovered that energy and matter are interchangeable phases of the same stuff. That is why E equals mc squared. In like manner, there is no such thing as empty space, for everything is matter in our physical universe, regardless of vibration. In fact, most matter in the universe is vibrating at a higher frequency range, thereby making this matter more refined and subtler and less gross, and of course, invisible to our eyes. This type of matter could only be visible to those that have raised their frequency range to a higher rate of vibration, such as in the case of those who have attained spirit and etheric perception. In truth, energy and matter are one and the same, and the only time when energy ceases to be matter is when it becomes pure light again. Then the process of the convergence or descension of pure light back into energy matter in its multiple bands of vibration begins again. And that is the nature and essence of our existence, and why many types of angelic beings exist on, on the different ranges or planes or wavelengths of vibrations, particularly those densities higher than the third that are considered the dark matter. In relation to higher spiritual knowledge, these higher levels of existence that have now been proven by the more evolving fields of science are nothing more than the realms of the spirit world, astral world, and etheric worlds that the ancients have always known about. All spheres of reality are marked by different planes of vibrating energy matter again. In my Father's house there are many mansions, Jesus the Christ, the Bible. These higher realms are the many heavenly spheres of all religious traditions. Considering this, we can now more clearly conclude that angelic human-like beings are as real as you and me and as physical as you and me. What separates our reality from theirs is the rate of vibration in their atomic and molecular structures. This correlates with the higher realms and parallel worlds discovered today by the various fields of study, both scientific through quantum physics as well as supported by the reemergence of ancient knowledge. The only difference between mysticism and science is that mystics have always known what science is rediscovering now. So, for the record, it is known that the ancient spiritual cultures have known about alternative realities and angelic like beings. So, it is not new information. So, how can reality be missing? It is obvious that we are the ones that are missing from the greater reality of light, for it is still there existing on higher vibrational wavelengths, as understood in the esoteric arcane tradition and as explained by all world religions. In light of this, we may say that the beings classified as the angels of the celestial beings in the Bible are the same beings described today as the benevolent human-like extraterrestrials, beings whose numbers are present in our skies more so than ever in this day of restoration. In contrast, the biblical demons or the fallen angels also coincidentally correspond to the negative extraterrestrials that have been the guiding force behind the temporary rulers of this world, the draconian and Hydra reptilians. This again validates the biblical concept of spiritual interdimensional warfare that has been taking place by supernatural forces, not of this reality. Now let's match the evidence. The biblical angels and demons were both of the supernatural nature, and both have the capacity to intervene in human affairs. They could always see and pierce into the third dimensional human reality, while humans remained imperceptible to theirs, dark matter. The point is that all throughout history, and according to every religious tradition, we have heard the accounts of angels appearing to humans, particularly to the prophets, sages, and seers who had developed spirit vision. These human adepts perceiving higher realities would guide the planet according to the divine blueprint of light given to them by an angel. So in the Bible, while the angels were characterized as benevolent protectors and helpers of humanity operating from the heaven or higher realities, the demons, negative extraterrestrials, were known to be malevolent, and the forces behind the brotherhood of Satan as the oppressors of humanity. This also provides more evidence of the misunderstood biblical truth that we are not at war with flesh and blood, but with powers and principalities that are not of this world or realm. Again, it is important to know that those final editors, Constantine and the Council of Nicaea, of our accepted Western Bible condensed everything regarding our cosmos to just one realm, one wavelength, excluding the entire spectrum of reality. It appears that those who have governed the affairs of this world had all the written records revised to fit their most rigid paradigm that only this reality exists. They omitted all knowledge regarding the higher realities to control us by default of limited reality. With this in mind, we can begin to open our minds to the existence of these other beings that exist on higher wavelengths of light energy vibration. For instance, the Bible has many references to the existence of both angels and demons that completely match up with the extraterrestrials existing in the higher densities of the reality of our physical universe. In truth, the higher densities or dimensions of existence are more real than this one is, and it is marked by multiple spheres of physical realities, all encompassing greater and greater levels of being. For example, in all spheres, the spiritual realm is the highest vibrating sphere, or world of matter, where matter is vibrating at its most pure and highest frequency. Most esoteric literature would agree on this to be the fifth dimension and up to where energy and matter are interchangeable and simultaneously exist in a state of singularity. Also, by implying the concept of the holistic model of existence, we may conclude that in all the universes, the spirit is not vaporous or transparent as it has been assumed. For instance, if we raise our vibratory rate into a higher octave or wavelength of being, then spirit begins to take form. The higher we raise our vibration, the more solid our spirit becomes. Now, the reason why both angelic beings and demonic beings of varying grades and levels are able to travel through the different planes of existence without any difficulty is that they have learned and mastered the secrets of energy matter manipulation, which is really energy matter modulation. They utilize methods like advanced technologies that instantaneously shift them from one level of reality to another level of reality by simply retuning their vibration at will into any wavelength that they choose to explore. For example, by lowering their vibration rate an octave or two depending on where their original frequency resonates from, they can take form in that reality, thus appearing physical to those beings vibrating at that level. Of course, in order to do that, we must obviously be using far more than just 6% of our total potential. As revealed by the secret knowledge, at one point our planet indeed consisted of multiple levels of reality, or at least it was open to those higher levels of being before the veil set in. According to all restored knowledge, this was during the time of Atlantis and even before Atlantis. Since the fall of Atlantis, we have forgotten this once great cosmic science. A science that at one point before our fall into the lower levels of solid reality enabled us to access the different and higher realities at will, when we were all connected to the varying realms of infinite spirit. Another important fact regarding various intelligence that inhabits our universe is that we are all related by virtue of how much light quotient we carry in our overall being. It appears that higher evolved beings exhibit and operate with a higher light quotient. At the same time, the different types of intelligent beings fall under the three major categories. We have the highest category, known as the celestial intelligentsia, equates to our Creator's first extension from the top down, giving us the various archangelic orders of angels that operate from the eternal realms down to the semi-eternal realms. I think there wasn't supposed to be a period there. Down to the semi-eternal realms. The second category of intelligence is the Etherians, who are the offspring of the celestials and are involved in the lower part of the eternal realms, operating in between the infinite eternal spheres and the finite spheres of time and space. The Etherians are also an in-between point between the descending celestials and the ascending mortals or terrestrials of time and space. The last category of intelligent celestial, angelic humanoid life is known as the terrestrials. The terrestrials could include a wide range of biological organic life forms that begin their evolution at the bottom of the light energy spectrum to ascend into the higher eternal spheres. We could also say that the offspring of the Etherians are the terrestrials. All humanoid intelligent life forms in the multi that were intelligent design by one creator. I'm going to read that again. All humanoid intelligent life forms in the multiverse that were intelligent design by one creator fall under these three overall categories. In light of this, we could therefore suggest that mankind on Earth today is the final product of the celestial race that eventually descended first into the level of Etherians and then finally into the level of terrestrials, being the lowest form of vibrating energy matter. For example, higher evolved beings have and utilize what is called a light body, in which they use to traverse the different levels of existence. According to the esoteric wisdom, humans on Earth today also have a light body, but our light body has been limited to 1/10 or less of its full capacity by virtue of not utilizing 94% of our genetic material, Etherian and celestial DNA. In other words, the unseen levels of reality are relative to our capacity of how much junk DNA, genetic material, we use. Therefore, the so-called junk DNA that scientists have discovered is the key in unlocking mankind into the higher levels of reality. For these non-coded strands connect to higher frequencies, allowing humans to become multidimensional and begin the ascension process back into the immortal realms of the Etherian, celestial, eternal spheres. This scientific fact only implies that perhaps humans at one point in our ancient past were full conscious beings, tuned with the angels of the higher realities, and living for thousands of years. Perhaps this was the time when the celestials walked the earth along with terrestrial man, as recorded in the book of Genesis. However, before we rule anything out, we shall soon take a closer description as to who was who in ancient times. Although what has come to light is that descending celestial humanity lived extremely long lives and had spiritual gifts, or what science would term supernatural abilities, and all of this was the result of each human having a spiritual connection to the higher spheres by virtue of utilizing more of their current 6% genetic capacity. Eventually, as humanity regressed further and as time continued, we began to live shorter lifespans as we began to use less and less of our full genetic material, celestial, and DNA. This fall or descent of spiritual man was a gradual declining process. However, the good news is that since we are living in a time of restoration, our light, celestial bodies are being reactivated due to the planetary ascension of our Earth. As the declining process reverses, we will begin to live for what appears to be hundreds of years without aging. With this comes a greater exaltation of the human species on Earth, who have for thousands of years been shut from the rest of the spectrum of reality, again by default of only using 6% of our inherent divine celestial capacity. This is why it is important to also understand the changes that are taking place in our bodies as we evolve into a higher state of being, like our higher evolved brethren who are waiting for us to join them in the greater family of light, not only in our galaxy and universe, but throughout the many universes. Again, in order to understand the diversity of angels, celestials in existence, we must first understand the three overall levels of existence in which all dimensions, densities, and realities exist first and foremost. As preserved in the ancient wisdom, there have always been three overall major planes of existence: the celestial, spiritual, and etheric/mental, and the physical material. In turn, these three major planes are further divided into 9, thus giving us the concept of the 9 realms of heaven as explained by the Bible and Paul. In turn, these 9 realms are subdivided into multiple densities, degrees, and subplanes, making up the entire spectrum of light. In the spiritual plane, the highest level of being and existence, exist the highest emissions of light, where only perfected light beings can reside. We can say this is the realm of the highest of beings serving and working for the light and all that is. They are the celestials, and what the Bible refers to as the mighty Elohim. These beings are both luminous and androgynous, one on one level, as well as having a physical body, male and female, on another level. However, on the highest levels, there is a certain type of energy that cannot be contained in any form, and that is the energy manifested in the highest spheres of the higher heavens, for only the light body in a state of pure energy is active there. On the same token, in order for these cosmic beings to take physical form, they would have to lower their vibration or light quotient down into the etheric, mental, and material terrestrial levels of lower energy frequency vibration, as to why they are light and form at the same time, since all levels exist simultaneously. Also, it has also been unveiled that the Elohim, celestial beings, have all been endowed with the same creative power of our prime creator, since in essence They are all divisions and offspring manifestations of the one pure source, as revealed by the holistic model of existence. In turn, the Elohim further divides or gives birth to the multi-archangelic and angelic beings that exist throughout the cosmos. This family of descending light beings either give up their individual will to serve the will of our Creator, or take matters into their own hands, serving their individual cause. At this level, all descending celestials realize that they could use their inherent creative mental powers to project any world or reality they please, though through their thought projections. Since all reality is a projection or manifestation of creative mental energy, then the lower extensions or material realms are reflections of the mental projections of these celestial beings. In other words, we all live, everything included, in a mental projection of descending celestial beings many have referred to as God. The only thing is that there are many material creations or galaxies that are being projected into existence from the many descending cosmic beings that operate as the offspring of Prime Creator Source, as a family of Creator gods, the many and the one. The celestials that give up their individual will to serve the mandates of our one Creator of all that is are the good guys, while the celestials that serve their individual cause and try to play the role of God by taking matters into their own hands are the fallen celestial angels. Most importantly, let it be known that the benevolent celestial intelligence serving the side of life and light always maintains a perfect body of light, while the fallen ones begin to function with imperfect bodies of light. This explains why the light is always on the winning side, as it is controlled and generated from the highest regions. Now let it be clear that initially only the spiritual celestial spheres or planes of existence were the only existing spheres of light without any beginning or end. According to today's quantum research, this would be the state of pure energy, whereas different colors convert back into white light before being refracted through the prism. It is well known in the esoteric wisdom that in the process of the great discussion, the plans of our Creator was to spread the living light into the outer regions, so that which exists in the higher regions could also be anchored in the lower spheres, thus giving us a scientific explanation of heaven on earth. This is the great divine plan of light, and playing the devil's advocate on the other side are the fallen celestial intelligence, fallen angels, that have been since the fall from unity consciousness, attempting to block the spreading of the universal light of our Creator into the lower spheres that would spiritualize matter, or the terrestrial spheres. The physical universe in which our earth hangs in its original conception was a perfect thought in the mind of our Creator. Son, Jesus in parentheses, and since thoughts become matter, form, the original thought projection of this creation was perfect. The perfection of our material creation lasted until the fallen angels intercepted and contaminated the original thoughts by mentally projecting their own disqualified forms into existence And since we live in a free will universe, these fallen thought patterns took shape and form, thus precipitating and affecting many levels of reality. Now, it is of the utmost truth that originally, when light descended into creating the terrestrials, or physical worlds, or dimensions of lower energy matter, all matter was initially created perfect. And this is what Plato referred to as the world of perfect forms, which also appear eternal, because they initially reflected the perfect state of both the etheric, mental, and spiritual, celestial, higher planes in which all matter comes from. Also, when the descending celestial intelligence reached the stage of refined matter in the eighth dimension, they began to take material form. And since all matter reflects thought, after descending lower than the eighth dimension, all celestials began to take gross physical form. Now, since the physical worlds represented the outer appearance of the interdimensional, higher etheric, mental, and spiritual celestial worlds, there was a distinction in appearance between those that rebelled against God's light and those that did not. Since mind creates matter, we can say that those celestial beings that remain loyal to the will of our Creator inherited the most perfect original angelic human vehicle, the Adam Kadmon body, which became the blueprint for all the vehicles of a subsequent generation of descending celestial humanoid beings throughout the cosmos, our ancestors. These descending celestial beings were really the first original humans, descending children of the highest with incredible abilities that we may perceive as supernatural powers. This was the original family of light that was born into the plane of materiality or physicality in a higher dimension than ours before they further coalesced into the third dimension. As for the fallen celestial beings, they inherited a different vehicle that resembled their dark nature. In other words, since the lower spheres become a reflection of the higher spheres, as above so below, therefore when the fallen descending celestial beings became translated into the material plane of existence of the lower heavens, terrestrials, they became embodied in grotesque vehicles resembling their fallen state. These fallen light beings became known as our biblical demons, and today they are the same beings that our ufologists classify as negative ETs. In fact, many researchers have linked this negative group of ET as the ancient serpent race recorded in all ancient religious traditions. The serpent beings became no other than the fallen celestial beings from the higher already existing etheric spheres, telestial, and their father became our biblical Lucifer, aka Samana, as revealed in the Yannian manuscript. These serpent beings have been documented in various ancient texts from all over the world as flying serpents and dragons, and at times have coexisted with mankind. There is no doubt that these beings correspond to our biblical demons. For example, in the biblical account, their characteristics are described down to the, and then it just cuts off down to the something. They all have tails, some have horns, remembering the mythological gargoyles that have been classified as beastly looking creatures. In fact, some shamans, particularly those of the Dagon tribe in Africa, have characterized them as dark matter entities. And that is exactly what they are, for they are representatives of fallen light. Overall, our ufologists today have identified the modern day Draco and Hydra reptilians with the biblical demons. Now, it is important to understand also that there are different types of beings other than the positive ETs, humanoid slash angels, and negative ETs, demon reptilian. It appears that there are hundreds of types of extraterrestrial, biological, alien life forms alone in our known physical universe, most of which resemble the descending academic Eid of humanoid beings, and some the descending reptilian seed of demonic beings, and everything in between, all falling under the three categories of celestials, Etherian, and terrestrials. Another type of being that was created by our Creator to work side by side with us in our world are the Devas, also known as the fairies and elementals, whatever you would like to call them. This group of beings work and operate to help maintain the Earth's ecology as a planetary group of little helpers who are the guardians and spirits of the telluric, mineral, and animal kingdom. These miniature devas are another set of beings working for our Creator as a planetary level coexisting with the human terrestrial kingdom. The truth of the matter is that our Creator has designed everything in existence to suit the purpose of the human creation here on earth. Mankind on earth is the completion of the great descent of spirit into matter, and that is the reason why our exaltation is greater than all the existing species, and as to why the angels were designed to serve mankind. In conclusion of the angelic and demonic phenomenon, we could rule out that for about 5,000 years we have been kept away from having true spiritual knowledge about not only ourselves, our origin, our reality, and the true nature of our universe. It was until 500 years ago when we finally began getting out of the absolute darkness, thanks to the 15th century Reformation and the Renaissance. Since then, we have been entering a new era. Therefore, the tables are turning, and the truth regarding our real celestial nature and our existence has now been restored. Now, on a different note, when we really consider how we have only perceived and experienced less than 1/10 of our full reality potential, we begin to see that there is nothing supernatural about the supernatural. For at those levels, it's all natural. The Bible is correct. We have been consciously imprisoned from experiencing the higher realms for about 5,000 years. This is the meaning of the veil that is temporarily shutting us off from experiencing the higher realities of heaven on earth. Be aware that the veil has been lifting because we are under a new dispensation. As mentioned, we live in a multi-reality existence and coexist with beings who apparently have access to our range of reality, while we remain shut from theirs. However, the time has come for our reconnection with the celestials and beings of other dimensions. Even among the fields of archaeology, there is enormous physical evidence that clearly reveals that we are not alone. All researchers in the field of archaeology have unearthed relics of ancient megalithic structures that connect our reality with other realities inhabited by beings of other worlds. All these wonderful observations and discoveries are part of the restoration process, as they remind us that we are not alone in the cosmos and that there is a greater reality and greater cosmic family that we are not aware of. And this great time of restoration, the suppressed knowledge of our planet is slowly making its way back to the light. And when we return, my friends and family, we will pick it up at chapter 4, our cosmic, spiritual, divine origin. And until then, we leave you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator.